In this module, we are going to be looking at important tools that will help you manage your money better and become a master at it. But first, let's talk about banking. I would like us to look at the different types of bank accounts that are available out there and the advantage that they can offer you and some disadvantages as well. First is savings account. Savings account is fantastic because it is quite accessible. It is easy to open. You walk into any bank of your choice and within a few minutes you can open a savings account. However, if you are somebody that you do heavy transactions, the limitations on savings accounts can be unpleasant. There are savings accounts where you can do more than 500,000 Naira transaction a day, while some have been extended to not being able to do more than 5 million in a day. So like I said, if you're somebody that does heavy transactions, you might not find savings accounts sufficient enough. But it is fantastic for your day-to-day transactions because it tends to have low charges attached to it compared to other accounts. Second on the list, let's look at the current account. The current account is slightly more demanding to open, but with a good account manager or customer service person, you can easily get it done as well. The advantage is it opens up the bandwidth or increases the bandwidth of the transactions you can do on your account, unlike savings account that has limitations. However, it tends to attract more charges. So current accounts tend to pay more in charges and maintenance and the likes. Another interesting account we're going to look at is the domiciliary account. This is where your FX comes into. Say pounds, euros, dollars, your domiciliary account is for that. So if you're somebody that maybe you deal with FX quite often, or you earn in say dollars, pounds or euros and you're in Nigeria, it's a fantastic account to have so that it gives you the advantage to be able to do your FX transactions with ease. Now, let's look at another type of account, which is the high interest savings account. It has now become quite common nowadays thanks to financial technology institutions that have brought it to light in Nigeria. So there are savings accounts you can save into now and earn good interest on your savings, other than the traditional savings account offered by the banks. So what are the things you should look out for when you want to choose a savings account for yourself? First thing I look out for, and I advise anyone to look out for, is accessibility. How accessible do you want your savings account to be? Do you want to have a card to it? Do you just want it to be an app on your phone that has a pin that you visit to save once in a while or regularly? So you have to answer the question of accessibility for yourself. How accessible do you want your savings account to be? Second thing to consider is interest. How much am I going to earn in interest if I save with this account or this platform? Interest rates is very important and it makes savings more rewarding. So it is advisable for you to shop around and compare what different platforms and different financial institutions offer when it comes to your savings account. Another thing you also want to consider are the penalty attached. Is it an account that comes with penalty? Say you withdraw more than a specific number of times in a month. Is that something you need? Do you want an account that restricts your access or how frequently you can withdraw from it? That depends on you. So you want to look at the penalty attached and also if there are any fees attached to saving on that platform. With these tips, I'm sure you are now equipped to be able to choose the perfect savings account for yourself. Have you ever heard anything about emergency funds? Have you? Well, let's talk about it. Emergency fund is an important aspect of a successful personal finance. Everyone should have an emergency fund. From the name, I'm sure you can guess the purpose of an emergency fund. An emergency fund is there so that you are protected from unforeseen circumstances that can affect your finances. So I see it like a security blanket, and security is very important when you're planning your financial life. So how does it work? So your emergency fund is set to be able to cover between 3 to 6 months of your living expense. For example, say it costs you 100,000 naira to finance your life every month. So it is advisable that your emergency fund should be between 300,000 to 600,000, which is what would be enough to cover between 3 to 6 months of your living expense. Do you get it now? Okay. So your emergency fund, again, is very important because it offers you that security. I like to say that it protects you from any unforeseen circumstances your village people might have prepared for you. So, what are some of those circumstances that can come up? Health emergency, sudden job loss, your car developing faults without any warning, or it might even come in handy when you spot an opportunity and you really just want to lock it down. Emergency fund is a fantastic tool to have when planning your personal finance. So when you want to build your emergency fund, what are some of the things that you can do to make it easier for you? Let's look at it. You can automate your savings. I know when we think about saving for emergency fund, saving for 6 months of living expense can feel a bit daunting. But you can break it into achievable goals for yourself. So you can set a monthly goal of saving maybe 10,000 naira every month to your emergency fund. And with time, with accumulation and consistency, you'll be able to meet the target of your emergency fund. Also, I find that automating your savings helps. A lot of people struggle with saving and building an emergency fund because of lack of discipline or lack of consistency. But when you take the decision out of your hands and you automate, it helps you to stay consistent and you achieve the goal without having to think much about it. I hope this helps. Let's talk about debt. I know debt is a topic that scares a lot of people, but your financial education journey would not be complete without having a good knowledge of what debt is about, what to stay away from, how to use it, how to prioritize paying off debt, how to get out of it, and so many more. This might be shocking to you, but debt in itself is not fundamentally bad. Let me explain. There are different types of debt, and what makes a debt good or bad is what you use it for. First, let's look at secured debt. This is a type of debt where it is backed by a collateral. For example, say you're a business owner. You want to grow your business, so you go to a bank to ask for some loan, which is a form of debt. Now, the bank would ask you for collateral in most cases. Now, say your collateral could be your car, could be a landed property, could be any other property that you have. When you offer a collateral to back the debt you're taking, that is a secured debt. And secured debt tend to have lower interest rates because the lender feels more comfortable giving you the loan with the assurance that they have collateral backing the loan. Let's talk about unsecured debt. Unsecured debts have become quite common nowadays. You see a lot of lending platforms that advertise that within 5 minutes you can get access to loan without any collateral. Now, the price for that accessibility is you pay high interest rate on the loan. Some charging up to 16% per month on the loan that you take from them. So now that we understand secured debt and unsecured debt, let's look at good debt and bad debt. So what qualifies as a good debt? A good debt is a type of debt you take on or loan that you take to finance something that helps you grow or to buy an asset or invest in a business. Say you take on debt to buy a property, either for living or as an investment, or you take out debt to invest in a business, or you take out debt to fund your education. This qualifies as good debt because the money is being channeled towards something that would help you grow, either as a business or as an individual. But bad debt is when you take on loans just to finance your lifestyle. It's as simple as that. And it's unfortunate that this has now become quite common. I know the flashy things we see on social media makes us feel like we have to always keep up with the Joneses. And a lot of people are now unable to live within their means just because of that. Taking on debt to travel with your friends, taking on debt to pop bottles with your friends, taking on debt to buy the latest, trendiest phone or clothes is a form of bad debt. Because immediately you take the loan and you spend that money, it becomes a liability. The things that you spent it on are not things that would appreciate in value or give you returns in any tangible way. So, what should you typically stay away from? From this explanation, I'm sure you can tell that staying away from bad debt is the smartest way to go. Now, if you need to take on debt at all, I always advise that it is best to use it for a good thing, something that would help you grow in your business, in your career, and help you acquire assets. So you see, debt in itself is not a bad thing. It is how you use it that determines if it is good for you or bad for you. Let's look at ways you can reduce and manage debt. The first thing I would like us to talk about is prioritization. It is important for you to prioritize paying off your debt if you're someone that is currently in debt. Debt can cause a major leakage in your finances because your money would consistently be going towards repaying interest. So it is important that you prioritize paying your debt off as fast as possible so that you can channel those resources to other things that are important to you. There are two methods you can use to pay off your debt really fast. The first one is the avalanche method. What happens here is if you have multiple debts, you pay off the high interest debt first and at a fast rate, as fast as you can. So high interest debts, as you obviously can guess, require you to pay more interest on them. So it is a very smart strategy to pay them off first and fast. Another method you can use is known as the snowball method, which is sort of the opposite of avalanche, where you pay off the small debts to gain momentum. When you have multiple debts, it can feel overwhelming and discouraging when it feels like every effort is not even making a dent in the amount of debt that you have. So snowball method can help you gain momentum and encourage you to keep on. So you can use either of this method to pay off the debt that you currently have. Another important thing for you to do when you're trying to manage or reduce debt is budgeting. Create a budget that cuts out on discretionary spending. It is advisable that when you're trying to pay off debt fast, you should embrace delayed gratification. When you're trying to pay off debt, it's not really the best time for you to be traveling the world on different vacations, when your creditor is still waiting for you to pay off the debt that you owe. So prioritize paying off the debt when structuring your budget and cut back massively on discretionary spending. When you pay off your debt, you will have more money to enjoy, knowing that the money is yours and you're not owing anybody. Another step for you to take, especially when you have multiple debts, is negotiation. A lot of people tend to hide from their lenders or creditors when it gets tough. But this is the wrong strategy because it creates a lot of anxiety for you, hiding from people that you owe. It is best for you to call your creditors and have a conversation with them and negotiate on how to create a feasible plan that will help you repay the debt. When you're honest about your current financial standing with your creditor, most times they would understand, because the creditor's priority is to be able to recoup the money that they gave to you. So open communication with them can really help you to reduce the stress and create a feasible plan for both parties. And honestly, they would appreciate you more for being a person of integrity and telling them the truth of what is going on. Another tool you can use is consolidation. Sometimes when you owe quite a number of banks or financial institutions, you can approach one of them to buy off the debt you have with the other banks. Now, what this will help you do is to reduce the stress of trying to pay off different creditors at the same time and consolidate your debt with just one creditor and focus on paying back that creditor. Of course, consolidation comes at a price, because when an institution is buying off your debt from other banks or institutions, they are going to incur the cost of paying off your debts with those banks. And they would want to charge you extra interest rates on the debt. But if it is important for you to reduce the pressure you are facing by dealing with multiple creditors, this can be a smart way to go. Now that we understand the different strategies that can help you manage and reduce debt, I'm sure you are well equipped to do that for yourself. Let's talk about how you can maintain good credit. I know as Nigerians or Africans, this might come as a strange conversation to us because we typically don't focus so much on our credit score, but it exists. So let's talk about it. Credit score is a numerical value that is used to measure your credit worthiness. It is how a lender is able to gauge how credit worthy you are. Like, are you the type of person that if they give you credit or loans, you will pay it back and fast? So there are different organizations now, especially in Nigeria, that measure individuals' credit score. Like I said, your credit score shows your credit worthiness. A lot of people are in the habit now of taking quick loans and not paying them back, thinking they've gotten away with it, not knowing that it affects their credit worthiness. So if you're in the habit of taking credit from financial institutions and not paying it back, your credit score might have taken a beating by now. With a quick Google search on how to check my credit score, you will see organizations that offer this as a service, and you'll be able to see where you are so far. Now, if your credit score has taken a beating, this is not the time to feel bad. This is the time to sweep into action and see how you can fix it. So what are some of the things you can do to fix it? You want to repay all the debt that you owe fast. You want to do it in a consistent way and in a fast way, because you want to show that you're a person of integrity and you're working hard at paying back the debt that you owe. Ignoring the debt that you owe and thinking you've gotten away with it can affect you when you want to get important loans in the future. Say you want to get a business loan to expand your business, or an education loan for your children, or you want to get a loan to finance a housing mortgage. When your credit score comes up, the creditor or the lender would see that this person has not proven to be a person of integrity when it comes to debt. And they might do one of these two things. One, deny you credit. Two, give you credit at a very high interest rate. So again, it is advisable to not ignore your credit score. Mastering money management is an important part of building a successful financial life. And throughout this module, we have looked at tools that will help you do that. How to choose the best saving account for yourself, how to build a robust emergency fund, how to manage debt, the understanding of debt, and how to reduce it in your financial life. These are some of the key things that we've touched on. And I believe we've laid the perfect groundwork for a financially stable life. Well done.